Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. So today we are going to talk about the world of personal finance and why it is critical for us to have an in-depth understanding of the power that personal finance entails and how we can actually utilize it to elevate our current position, to elevate ourselves into achieving the highest form of personal success. I know every single day we are faced by the challenge of actually balancing between our spending and our savings. We are faced by the question of which debts to pay first. We are constantly worried about what the future holds. From a money point of view, we are dogged by the question of investment and how to carefully choose which investment vehicles to place our bets in so that we can realize our full financial potential. With that understanding, we begin to realize that personal finances and money management is such a critical component in our lives that we cannot shy away from. It is from that sense of urgency, it is by positioning ourselves at the highest level of responsibility and having that passion to take the lead and be in control of our personal finances that we have to learn the basic principles of money so that we constantly check ourselves to be better, to take charge, and also create value in the marketplace so that we can make better this beautiful world that we find ourselves in today. So at a conscious level, I want to introduce to you the 5 principles of personal finances that you have to have a deep understanding on so that you take yourself to the next level. The first principle is the principle of prioritization of your savings. This is such a critical principle when it comes to personal finances because it changes how we view savings, and therefore the principle of prioritization of our savings gives us the power to actually save our money first before we do anything else. And this is important because we shift away from seeing savings as a burden and move from saving last, so that we move away from the tradition of actually making our savings last after spending and turning that around and starting to save before we actually spend. This principle of prioritization of savings is the first principle that we have to inculcate into our day-to-day financial lives so that we can start saving faster and better. The principle of prioritization of savings, therefore, dictates that we have to set aside money into our savings accounts and make it a non-negotiable agenda, just like any other bill. Also, it is from the principle of prioritization of savings that we are actually able to build a robust emergency fund, because once we make it a habit of truly saving, that we start to realize that we have so much left over that we can therefore build. It is through the principle of prioritization of savings that we begin to have so much left over that we are able to build a robust emergency account that therefore helps us to withstand any economic storm that life may throw to us in the future. The second principle that we have to understand every time we get paid is actually the principle of budgeting. Budgeting has always been used as a tool that guides us through prioritization of our resources so that we can be able to stay within our means. Therefore, the principle of budgeting is not meant to punish us, is not meant to slow us down from actually enjoying the privileges and having those happy moments. But the principle of budgeting is to put in us the wisdom and knowledge that if you continue spending on what you don't need, then eventually you will start selling what you actually need. So the principle of budgeting enables us to have the spirit of moderation, the spirit of prioritization of our funds into meaningful ventures, so that we can be able to not only satisfy our greatest needs, but also curtail the urge of instant gratification. The principle of budgeting helps us understand that we don't need to deprive ourselves, but have that education that we can actually be able to facilitate our lives within the confines of our current financial positions, to not only be able to make great strides, but also have that necessary balance through having strategic budgeting plans, so that we can put our resources into the right use. Thirdly, every time you get paid, you have to put in place the principle of debt management. If you're truly languishing in debt, you know the level of anxiety that consumer debt brings into our financial lives. And the average person has to have that deep understanding that if you owe debt, you're actually a slave to the debt owner. And therefore, the principle of debt management must be on the table every time you get paid. Because it is through this principle that we are able to manage our debts and pay our debtors and pay whatever we owe, starting with the debts with the greatest interest, so that we can be able to free ourselves again. Having the basic understanding of the principles of debt management puts us in a position to understand that we not only are obligated to repay the debt owner, but we owe ourselves the greatest responsibility so that we can avoid the shame, that is anxiety, that comes from owing debt, and also be able to actually liberate ourselves from the jaws of debt. Fourth is the principle of investing. Every single time you get paid, you have to have the principle of investing at the back of your mind, because investing is the only way we are actually able to buy back our time and create true value beyond our limited selves, so that we can be able to capture our true aspirations at a higher level. And therefore, the principle of investing dictates that every time we get paid, we put some money aside, probably at 20%, 30%, 40%, depending on your income. Put that aside and put it into an investment vehicle, so that you can be able to drive more value out of your hard-earned income. And the beauty about the principle of investing is that we are able to actually know that the spirit of investing is anchored on the foundational principle that investing is a long-term game, and therefore it requires of us to be patient with our investments for us to realize meaningful gains. Lastly, the principle of having physical cash. Each and every time you get paid, you have to understand the value of the principle of having cash money. Therefore, every time you get paid, you have to set aside some physical cash to be with you, because cash is king, and cash is like oxygen, because the principle of having cash actually stems from the belief that money is like oxygen. We never think about it when it exists, but every time oxygen is unavailable, then it's the only thing we think about. And money is the same way. And therefore, we have to have cash money so that we can be able to have the energy that is money to attract more money on our behalf. So having physical cash is such a critical component. It buys into the component of liquidity that is critical for us to be able to take advantage of any opportunities that arise in the marketplace, because we are able to cash in, because we are ready with our cash resources. In conclusion, having these fundamental principles of personal finance will actually guide us every single time we get paid to be able to prepare our financial houses for a better future. And therefore, it is paramount for us to have an understanding of the principle of prioritization of savings, the principle of budgeting, the principle of debt management, the principle of investing, and finally, the principle of having cash. Having these interlocking components every time we get paid will actually position ourselves into becoming our greatest selves from a money point of view. So which principle do you actually have a deep understanding on every time you get paid? If you're finding value out of these videos, then don't hesitate to subscribe to our channel. Also, like, share, and comment down below. Thank you, and see you in the next video.